Is it? Well, then there we go. All right. So it's Monday. It's Mindset Monday, and I wanted to bring in a little bit of a blend of Mindset Monday into Workshop Wednesday, and I was just going through preparing and getting myself back in mode. Right. We talked a few weeks back on like the dangers of vacation, right? We work so hard to disconnect, and yet the momentum shift from going from disconnect back into production, back into the mindset can sometimes be a little bit of a challenge if you're waiting for it to happen emotionally. If you're waiting for your emotions to be your indicator for action, you may wait forever. It may take a minute. And so I'm from the perspective of there are tactics and strategies and hacks to spur emotion into action. And the thing is, we have a saying that says motion equals emotion. And so, what are the hacks of motion to get back into productivity before you feel like it to then start getting those juices flowing again? And so, I just really intentionally put out the intention into the universe. And then I opened up YouTube, and sure enough, my algorithm said, "Your wish is my command." And I had a wonderful video from Dan Martell. And if you don't know Dan Martell, you should know Dan Martell. And he has an amazing book out there called Buy Back Your Time. And the first video that shows up says 10 productivity hacks that feel illegal. And so I'm going to share with you 5 of them, and then I will encourage you to go watch the video for the other 5. Now, Dan, he talks about, he goes, listen, he goes, I have massive ADHD, and he goes, I can't sit still. He goes, for me, it's like, he goes, I spent my entire career chasing fires, putting things out, taking care of other people's to-do lists, and yet until I found a couple of things, and he goes, so I compiled my top 10 favorites, and I'm going to share them with you. They're so good. I'm salivating. I'm spitting all over myself here. That's how good this is. So here we go. You guys ready? You're going to want to take some notes. So I know not everybody watches these recordings. Take some notes. And then I'm going to post the link to the video on the post of this video when it gets posted, or just randomly out there onto our Leverage Agent Facebook page. Anyway, all right. Hack number 1. He says, one of the most important hacks to get into productivity is not a to-do list. It is a not to-do list. And are you clear on what your not to-do list is? So he says knowing what not to do is as important and likely more important than what to do. And he breaks it down into 3 key areas of how you create your not to-do list. If you had to guess, what would one of them be, do you think? Feel free to unmute and shout it. Shout it out. Proclaim it. Own it.
Don't hit the snooze button.
I love that. Don't hit the snooze button. That's a good one. Anyone else? All right. To curb the suspense, I will continue. Number 1 of the not to-do list, he says, low dollar tasks. Low dollar tasks are things that he has chosen not to do. What is that? That's paperwork. That's anything that you can literally pay somebody per hour to do that's way less than your per hour of productivity. How do you determine your per hour of productivity? Well, take what you made last year and then divide it by 52 weeks divided by 40 hours per week. And there's your hourly rate. So if you made $100,000 last year, you would divide that by 52 and divide that by 40. There's your dollar per hour rate on what you made. If you can get something done at less than that, that'll allow you to do more of what makes you those dollars per hour, you should do that. That's just the math. However, some people don't want to do that because it feels like an expense, not an investment. If your leverage doesn't lead to productivity, if leverage just leads to idleness, that's called luxury. And we talked about that on a call before. If you're paying somebody to do stuff that you could be doing and then you don't replace it with more dollar per hour activity, that's called luxury, not leverage. You get to pick that, but just understand that there's a difference, right? Number 2 is things not to do. He said vices, drinking, going out late, eating wrong, like what are your vices? And start to say no to those vices that pull you out of productivity. Gambling, doom scrolling, sleeping in, snoozing, that's a vice. That is a sloth. What is it? Lethargy, vice. Um, and number three, low energy people or situations. Removing yourself from low energy, saying no to low energy people, saying no to low energy situations or circumstances. So, number one productivity hack is know what to say no to. I think oftentimes when we hear that, I would always get confused, be like, say no, like, there's a lot of things I need to do. And like, what do I got to say no to? But this brought a lot of clarity. So, again, to recap, low dollar per hour activities that you could be leveraging out in order to get you back into more productivity. Number two, vices. And number three, low energy people or situations. Love that. Hack number two, he said so often, he goes, my goal is to get into flow state as much as possible. And that flow state is, how many times have you gone into working and you don't recognize time just passes effortlessly? The activity doesn't feel like work. You're having a lot of fun, like those things, right? And he goes, you can create triggers for flow state. And he goes, one of the ways that you do that, he goes, there's three ways, he says, I can help manipulate or encourage flow state. And he says, number one, pick a location where you do your best work and get there. We oftentimes trick ourselves into thinking that we could do it anywhere. And the challenge of being able to do this anywhere is that we attempt to do it anywhere. And yet your location may be a factor that holds back your productivity. Number two, he says, create a sound environment that can trigger flow state. He goes, some people play some music, some people play like non-lyric soundtracks. Some people put on binaural beats to increase focus and productivity. He goes, allow the sound of your environment to help trigger flow state. And third is pick your routine. Find your routine and start triggering your routine. Your schedule can help trigger flow state. So the number two hack of productivity that almost feels illegal is focusing triggers. And those three, again, location, sound, and routine. Number three hack for increasing productivity is start your day on hard mode. And he said, and this goes back to, I mean, there's lots of studies and books. The most popular book around this is Eat That Frog, right? We talk about eat the biggest, fattest, juiciest, ugliest frog first, and then the rest of your day gets good, right? And so I remember going back to doing 75 hard. The first time I did 75 hard, I delayed my outdoor workout to the very end of the day. And what I didn't realize is I was doing this in February, and in Kansas City, February could be pretty nasty. My first outdoor workout at 75 hard was at night in an ice storm when there was horizontal ice pellets hitting me at like 45 miles per hour in the face. And I remember my family going, "You're going outside in that?" I said, "I have to." And they said, "For who?" And I said, "Well, for me." And I remember walking through and 35 minutes went by, and I was like, "This super sucks." And then I just started kind of laughing, going, "This is awesome. I love that this is so hard and miserable today, because everything after this should be easier." Right? So that mindset of starting off on hard mode. He goes, okay, so how do we do that? Number one is make sure you're really clear on what is that one thing. And he goes, for most salespeople, it's going to be your calls. It may be videos or social posts. It's the thing that you continue to allow other things to get in the way of instead of doing it. It's the thing you know you should be doing, but you find yourself easily being allowed to be distracted from it. So whatever that thing is, and for most of us, it's making our calls, making our touches, making our engagements, sending the mailers, whatever that is that moves the needle for conversations and relationships. That's usually our one thing here. Number two, he says, start to create deep work blocks. Get into sessions where you are doing the deep work first before checking your emails, before getting into responding to everybody else. And that goes into hack number 4, where he says you need to become a lot harder to reach. And for those, and then some of you, your chest just dropped because your number one value proposition is you can always get me on the phone. And if that's your number one value proposition, I'm going to challenge you to level up. Your accessibility is not your value proposition. The solutions that you bring, the service that you offer, the communication that you have is. And what that is, it says, he goes, your email inbox is other people's to-do lists for you. That's not your one thing. And he says one of the ways is you gotta limit your accessibility. First things first, if you've got your cell phone, one of the hardest challenges that you gotta have is you gotta turn your notifications off. Texts, emails, turn them off. You can see them, but like turn the buzzing off. Why is that? How often do you get into your deep work and you get the zzz, zzz, and then you look down and somebody's losing their mind. And for them, it's the end of the world. But if you just stayed into your deep work and you got back to that in 90 minutes, how many times is that end of the world issue resolved itself? Or they sent you that message anyway to get it off their mindset, not expecting an immediate response, but you derailed all of your dollar producing activities to answer. And even if it didn't take that long to respond, your mindset's trashed. You got that adrenaline spike. You got like all of a sudden, you're no longer able to like just connect and talk to people about what's going on your vacations and families and all this stuff. Like you just get jacked. Like they literally hijack your morning routine. So Dan Martell talks about turning my notifications off, and he goes, 2 people can reach me, my family and my assistant. That's it. And he says, I got another rule in the office. If my door is closed and I'm presenting or I'm on a call, if you come in, you've got to present then. If you walk in, you need to get on camera and start presenting the rest of the thing, right? Number 3, he says, put yourself in that focus zone, going back to your environment. And number 4, my notes here. He says sometimes you just have to remove yourself from the office. If you're working in the office and your team just continues to interrupt and asks for God a minute, sometimes you got to remove yourself. You got to put yourself somewhere else. He said also, one of the hacks, and this goes into the next one, but he shared this as well. He goes, one of the hacks that I'm going to challenge you with is if you got to remove yourself to get something done, don't take your charging cable. Why do you think he said that? Anyone?
Then you got to come back.
You'll be focused to get stuff done before you run out of your charge.
If you know that you only have a certain amount of time before your battery dies to get something done, to send something off, to complete some things, do you think you're going to be a little bit more productive? Yeah, he goes, there's a way. And he goes, that's the number 5. And he goes, sometimes we got to figure out a way to turn up the pressure. Shorten timelines, getting into that vacation productivity. One of the ways that we can manufacture that pressure is don't bring your charging cable. Go somewhere with your laptop. You've got a certain amount of battery power. You've got a certain amount of time before your next meeting. And he says, one of the biggest challenges for people is they say, I'll get that to you by the end of the week. And he goes, well, what about 3 o'clock? And they go, well, I don't know. He goes, yeah, just get it to me at 3. Okay. And so then instead of a week, it's now 3 o'clock. And there was only something, the fact that like, look, there's studies that say all work expands to fill the time allowed. If you give yourself a week, it'll take a week. If you give yourself an hour, it'll take an hour. And for the perfectionists on the call, this is terrifying. But done is better than perfect. And the thing is, there's no such thing as perfect. Sometimes you got to get a draft out. Get a draft out. So one of the ways to turn up the pressure is to shorten the timeline. And the other way, and for those of you that are in coaching, sometimes we talk about increasing the stakes. making it a non-negotiable. How do you make it a non-negotiable? How do you increase the stakes? And so these are ways to manufacture productivity through hacking the ways psychologically that we delay, we put off, we allow our emotions or lack thereof to drive our activity. So again, who'd like to take us through the recap? What was number one?
Create a not to-do list.
Yeah, create a not to do list. And he broke it up into 3 areas. Bonus points. You got those 3 areas?
Low dollar tasks, vices, and low energy people and places.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. Number 2.
Third flow state.
Yeah, creating a flow state, hacking the flow state. And what are the 3 ways or the 3 areas that he focuses on to do that?
Pick a location, create a sound environment, and pick routine.
Yeah, I mean, as I'm looking at this, like for me, it's the gym. I never feel like working out. I don't like working out. I've made a decision though that every day I work out. So how do I do it? I have to get to the gym first. Then I've got my playlist. I have 3 playlists that I play without fail, nonstop, every single time. And then I've got my routine. I've got an app that tells me exactly what to do, how hard, and how often. I don't have to think about it. I'm not walking around going, there's somebody on that machine. Maybe I'll just do the leg abductors now. No, it's leg day. We start off with 3 sets of leg extensions for warm-ups. Then we go 5 sets of heavy squat. Then Romanian deadlifts. Then we go the back extensions. Then we go with weighted lunges. And then we walk on the track. That's what we do. That's the routine. Guess what? Whenever somebody tells me what I have to do and I don't have to think about it, I just do it. And at the end of the thing, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. I feel so great. I might not be exactly in flow, but like I'm there. And the time passed. It wasn't the worst. Right. Number 3, start on hard mode. Not the easy, not the littles. Go right into the big thing. Make the biggest call, the hardest call, the toughest call first. And then work in deep blocks. Make yourself unavailable, which is number 4. Make it hard to reach you during your deep work blocks. Turn things off. Like my life changed when I turned off my notifications for Slack, email, and I still haven't turned all my text notifications off, but however I need to. So then and then what he said is schedule response times throughout, like literally give yourself a time to go in and respond. And if you use an assistant or a tool like we use Fixer.ai, FYXER.ai, it automatically labels and categorizes your emails, and it uses AI and the way that you respond to emails to create a draft response to your emails already. So you'll see an email underneath, it'll be a draft with 2 options of how you normally respond, and it'll even schedule time blocks to jump on a Zoom with you or a call if needed. Like that saved me a couple hours per week in just my emails. And that's just Fixer.ai. Yeah, being hard to reach, notifications off, do not disturb, let those certain things in, and then physically remove yourself. And then lastly, pressure. Turning up the pressure, whether it's shortening the timeline or raising the stakes. Which is your favorite one? And by favorite one, I said, which is the one that you don't want to actually talk about the most? Which is the one that you want to avoid? And which is the one you want to ignore that I even brought up? What's
Be
the
harder
one
to reach.
be hard to reach?
Mm-hmm.
Look, this is one of the biggest things, especially early on. And I can absolutely empathize with this. Early on, I felt like because I don't have that much experience, sales, cloud, or whatever, I felt like my competitive advantage against all these mega teams and these top producers was when you call me, you always get me. Well, all we're telling the consumer is I'm not that busy, so I really need this. I'm not that good. I'm always available. It's different than when you call me, I will absolutely be back to you very quickly with an answer.
I
Right?
just
Like it's
recently turned on my do not disturb. I've set the times so I can
yes.
focus, so I don't get any notifications unless like my husband or my kids call me.
Listen, I love cruising, but they also terrify me. Cause like you don't have a choice. You just don't have Wi-Fi. Like you're just disconnected unless you pay like $372 for Wi-Fi. Right. But you're just not available. You're in the middle of the ocean. I hope everything's taken care of. And it is. Right? Isn't it funny how it always is taken care of? What else? What else popped up for you? That you
Like
don't.
creating a not to-do list
Uh-huh.
because we're all in this, we're all entrepreneurs because we want to control our own schedule and do things that we want to do when we want to do them kind of thing. Feels like what did you say to me? Something about like when I didn't want to schedule things in my calendar, about the calendar actually giving you freedom. Like I was afraid I was giving up freedom, but I've just always battled with that one.
You're not the boss of me. Can't tell me what to do
The
and where to
boss
be.
of me.
You ain't the boss of me. At some point, you got to become the boss of you. Some of you need to fire the version of yourself that's not showing up. Step into your CEO, your main character energy. Anyone else? So this is just 5 out of the 10. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to post the rest of the video for you guys on the page. I'd love for you guys to then, after you've listened to it, take a second, post what are you going to change this week? What are you going to change this week? And then how's that video kind of brought awareness to your opportunity to increase productivity outside of waiting for your emotion or waiting to feel like it? Right. This is honestly, this is it. I was also watching another video. And I sent it to my daughters because they talk about wanting to be like, they talk about being elite. And as a dad, as their dad, I'm like, yeah, man, absolutely. Like, go for it. But what do I find is they don't really want to practice. They don't want to do stuff. And there was a video of some really high level elite athletes, female athletes, at that. And it just says, look, there's one key indicator of who is actually elite versus who says they're elite. And it's the elite kids don't have to be told by mom and dad when to work out. They don't have to be told not to have the snack. They don't have to be told when to get up. They get up. They do it. The elite kids don't have to be told. And I'm like, forward, 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 highlight, forward, tag, at, story. Like, I let the third party do the heavy lifting. Because if dad said it, I'm just being a jerk. I don't care if somebody else gets the credit. It's the same thing in our world, guys. Well, nobody holds me accountable. Yeah, everyone lets me get away with it. Cool. You're right. You're right. It must be easy for. No, you're right. You're right. Good luck. Good luck. Self mastery starts with self accountability. Your next opportunity is on the other side of the ways that you let yourself off the hook. That's it. It's not going to be this morning call. It's not going to be Wednesday's call. It's not going to be Friday's call. It's going to be, what do you do between the calls without having to be told? How to get yourself fired up. And these are some hacks of how to get yourself fired up in between the calls. And look, guys, I watch this video because I need this stuff daily. I am just like you guys. I need this daily. I find myself, I'm like, I'm not doing nothing right. Like, what? Why am I doing this? Let's get after it. So I share this with you, not as a preaching session, as I want to share with you what I'm currently focusing on and doing myself as well, because I have opportunities still every day. All right, y'all. It's great to be back. We'll see you on Wednesday, same time, same channel, for a lot more fun. Take care, y'all.